my biggest kind of pet peeve, talking to people who are like, this morning routine isn't working, or I can never be successful because I don't get up at 4 a.m., or, like people always are very hard on themselves. And they're very hard on themselves because they read all these books from, famous CEOs, they watch these podcasts and YouTube clips and TED Talks, and all these people are saying, you have to get up at 4 a.m., you have to read 20 pages of a book, you have to meditate for 20 minutes, you have to work out for an hour, you have to like either skip breakfast or eat a healthy breakfast, depending on, like, there's so many things that people tell you to do that even if you get up at 4 a.m., you're doing all the morning routine and it's like 9 p.m. at night and you haven't done anything, right?
Good Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Weekly Bustle. Today, I have a guest coming out of just outside Toronto. Tara is here with us. Tara will be introducing herself shortly, but even before we begin, Tara, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me today. How are you doing?
Doing well. Life is a blur when you have a child. I'm a new father, and yeah, it's you don't know what's happening, right? You're not in control. So
It's true. And this is such a busy time of year, too. So compound that with everything else. You probably have no idea what day it is or what time
yeah,
it is.
exactly. Time is an illusion. That's what I realized once you
Yeah.
become a father. And that's exactly why I think today's conversation is going to be a lot of fun because we're talking about time management. You have a lot of history with time management, and I want to hear everything about it. So, for those who don't know, Tara is a time management expert. She has her own business that she's going to be discussing with us here, and she's going to be sharing tip-top tips about what time management is, how we can get the best out of it, why is it important, and a little bit of a digression on why multitasking is not really good for us. And in the middle of this, she'll be sprinkling out all her good stories from her time working on the road with multiple different rock stars, multiple different CEOs. So I'm very excited for this. Sarah, Tara, are you excited?
I'm so excited.
All right, then let us
Maybe
begin.
it's still early in the morning for me. I might need more coffee, but I am still very
We
excited.
go
So,
for it. We
yes.
try. We try. Let's see. All right, Tara. So the floor is yours. Who is Tara?
Oh, that's a great question. So, I would say kind of my top kind of five special things about me. I am extremely passionate about time management, but the reason why I'm passionate about time management is I really want to live life to the fullest and get as much as I can out of it. And get and achieve as many of the goals that I set forward as possible. I truly believe that everybody can achieve their goals, no matter what it is, no matter what your walk in life, no matter your age. Anybody can achieve their goals, and it actually is very simple. I think that we overcomplicate things a lot in society today. So, extremely passionate about getting as much as I can out of every single day. I'm a crazy cat lady. I have six cats, believe it or not. So
Wow.
I know, it's crazy.
It's
Um,
amazing. It's amazing. I'm not an animal person in general, so even one cat is a big deal for me. So six cats,
yeah,
you're taking care of six babies then, right? The same.
yeah, I am. Yeah, probably not very well because I work a lot. But anyway, they're there. I live between Toronto, or just outside of Toronto, where I actually live in an old converted church, that I converted into a home. Um, and then I also live just outside of Nashville in just a normal home, not as exciting as my church in Toronto. So that's a little fun fact as well. And I started my working career as a personal assistant for many rock and roll bands. The first rock and roll band that I got to go out with was Kenny Rogers, actually. And then, yeah, I've spent almost just over 10 years on the road with some amazing rock and roll bands and celebrities and truly successful people. And I was always so passionate about being a sponge because I was really interested in how they became rock stars. Like, why them? Why not me? Why not, this other person on the street who is playing some really cool music? So I was always a sponge in how they became successful and maintained their success. And that's kind of how I built my more of my passion of time management and achieving goals and all of that.
Oh, that's amazing. We want to learn everything about there is of life on the road. So we'll get into that. But I
Yes.
really like two things that I want to discuss first. One, of course, the sponge. I completely agree with you. A lot of times I also think of this way that, okay, but why that person? Why not me? Why couldn't I do this? And what is missing? So I have this ritual that to be honest, I've not been following for the past few months because of the baby. But every month I buy a new course online. I do it online about the new technology. I work in data. So the new technology, the new thing just to see what's working. Right now, AI is the craze. So everyone
Yep.
is taking courses on AI. Everyone is taking courses on learning new things. And I'm just like, okay, I need to get on that because yeah, you need to learn something new, see what works, what doesn't work. So that is very, very interesting. And I would love to know what were your moments of sponges or sponging that you did amongst your clientele. But even before that, what I really liked is that you live 6 months here, you live 6 months there. I have a family friend who also loves to do that. And ideally, if I could, I would also love to do that. But my wife is not that big of a fan of it. So I really want to know first about that. What is this 6 month, 6 month thing, and why do you do it?
Yeah, well, it's actually kind of simple. So I'm from Toronto and my husband is from Nashville. So, and I couldn't move him up to Canada full time. And I didn't want to move down to Nashville full time. I still wanted to keep some Canadian roots and he still wanted to keep some American roots. So we split it. We do half and half. And it's not really, some years it's like more time in Toronto, some years it's more time in Nashville. It's not really a 6-6 split even. It depends on kind of what we're doing. But no, I love it. It's hard, obviously with 6 cats because we travel with them as well. But yeah, I just love it. It really helps too if you are a business owner or again trying to achieve some sort of goal because even in your personal life it doesn't have to be a professional goal because sometimes we get stuck in a routine and it's really hard to continue the momentum and be excited about like those day-to-day tasks that we
Yeah,
have to do to achieve those goals. But when you can pick yourself up and put yourself in a completely different environment, even though it's your environment, but there's still the process of getting there
you
and
haven't
going
seen it for
there and
months. Yeah,
settling in.
yeah.
Yeah, and then you're like, "Oh my goodness, like I'm now really excited to work, remotely if you do in this environment." And then it's kind of like recreating this new momentum that you have to do. It's actually one of my big top tips that I've learned from working with celebrities is that you have to create your own motivation and your own motivation to be able to succeed at your goals. And every celebrity that I have ever worked with, they do that. There's a lot of us that will sit back and wait for that lightning strike moment to hit or for us to feel 100% ready. Like maybe I haven't taken enough courses, or maybe, my business logo isn't correct or 100% perfect for me to want, or my website for me to launch this business. But we got to just like keep that momentum going and keep that excitement going and really drive that ourselves because no one's coming to do it for us at all.
I really like what you said. I love the tip, by the way. If I could, I would also really, really take it into it. I know what you say. It's like you're talking to me. You're saying that when I was launching my business, I was looking the same thing. I was like, okay, the website, and from all the feedback I got from people, amazing website, very professional. But it took me months to launch it because I was the one who was always telling my team, I think this is wrong. I think the logo needs to be a bit smaller. I think this needs to be there. And no one really cares about that. They just talk about the overall feel of the website and they go like, oh, it looks great. And you're just like,
Yeah.
you become a
I think
perfectionist.
a lot of us too think that when we're going to launch something, like 6 million people are going to look at it that day. And like in reality, maybe one person is going to click on it, right? Or maybe 10. Or
Yeah.
maybe if we're like a little more advanced in our careers or people know us, maybe 100. But it's not like, the entire world is all of a sudden going to be critiquing what we're doing. So I like to say just like launch it. It's never going to be perfect. If you have to change things, it's okay. Most people aren't going to notice. And then just get that thing checked off your to-do list. Celebrate the win that you've actually had it done and keep going with that momentum.
I really like what you said. Like, no one's gonna care, and even if they do, as I said, we won't have 6 million visitors, and even if we do, that's still very less compared to the 8 billion people we're trying to, like look at. So you will always have more people. So even if you screw up the first sale or you screw up the first meeting, there'll always be the next time. So you'll keep the motivation going. But I want to go back to that before we continue forward. For a person who is into time management, I would imagine you're into routines as well, right? Routines and rituals and systems. So it's very nice to see that you're willing to uproot your system to actually help your system, because the motivation needs to keep going. So I really want to know a little bit more about that. And you also said sometimes it's here and there. So is it not yearly? Or it is yearly, but like it's 8 months or 2 months. No, it's sometimes it's not yearly. Sometimes you stay the whole year in
No.
Toronto, or whole in Nashville.
Yeah, so because my husband's American, he has to spend 6 months in the US a year. And because I'm Canadian, I have to spend 6 months in Canada a year, or
Really?
else we have to get special visas and pay different taxes and it gets a
Yeah.
bit complicated. So he travels for a living, so it's a little easier for him. But I just make sure that I spend at least 6 months in the year in Canada.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it just depends what we have going on. If there's, I travel a lot for work, so sometimes I figure out like where it's easier to travel from. Like family obligations, life obligations, just wherever we kind of want to be, is kind of how we do it. So yeah, no year is ever the same,
No year
which
is
I
ever the
kind of
same.
like.
So yeah,
No.
taking that conversation to the systems thing and willing to uproot your system, how does that work? Because if right now, the past 3 weeks, I had to go to Pakistan for a personal emergency. That's what I messaged you about, and we had to reschedule. And since coming back, and even before that, life has been completely up and down, right? And I'm also pretty like a person of routine. But since my daughter came into my life, my routine actually improved. So it was like this. Like I had a really good routine, and then she came, and then this happened, and then this happened, and now it's again back here because she changes by the day, and she doesn't let you wake up on time or do your own stuff. So your morning ritual gets completely screwed. So how do you sustain your motivation and, of course, like sustain the momentum if your system gets changed so much? No year is the same, no month is the same. But then don't you just fall off the wagon sometimes? And if someone does fall off the wagon, what are your advice? What is your advice for it?
Yeah, so that's a lot of questions in there. So let me see if I can answer all of those. So my biggest kind of pet peeve, talking to people who are like, this morning routine isn't working, or I can never be successful because I don't get up at 4 a.m., or, like people always are very hard on themselves. And they're very hard on themselves because they read all these books from, famous CEOs. They watch these podcasts and YouTube clips and TED Talks, and all these people are saying, you have to get up at 4 a.m., you have to read 20 pages of a book, you have to meditate for 20 minutes, you have to work out for an hour, you have to like either skip breakfast or eat a healthy breakfast, depending on, like, there's so many things that people tell you to do that even if you get up at 4 a.m., you're doing all the morning routine and it's like 9 p.m. at night and you haven't done anything, right? And it's like, you have to figure, like, all the successful people that I have worked with and been able to support, they all have their own routines and things that help them. And people trying to copy other people's routines, I think it's really bad. It's like it's really bad in this whole self-help kind of motivation world that we live in, because what it works really well for somebody else doesn't necessarily going to work well for me and my lifestyle. So I've seen extremely successful people wake up at noon and live their days and work like in the evening because that's where their productivity is, or where their job they can work in the evenings. Like, nothing is out there that actually says if you wake up at 4 a.m. and work really hard that you're going to be a success, right? It's just really figuring out what works for you and what works well for you. A lot of times people also jump into routines and they set these like really, really rigid and complicated routines that they want to start with, right? So it's like, okay, I'm doing nothing right now. tomorrow morning I'm going to wake up early, I'm going to work out, I'm going to meditate, and I'm going to focus work for like 3 hours, right?
I I
Well,
want
of
to hide
course you're going
myself.
to fail.
I do the same thing. So I can't because every morning I need to get up in the morning. I need to walk, then meditate, then read a book, then do 30 minutes of nothing. Oh, that's such a
Oh my
weird thing
goodness.
because I read
Yeah.
it somewhere that it's very good for you, and I did it for the first time, and it was amazing. But my
Yeah.
God, it takes a lot of mental energy because you are actively trying to do nothing. So you can't even like meditate or sleep because you have to stay up and just do nothing.
You just have to
All of
stand
that, if I
there. Yeah.
count, it took me like an hour or two.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, that's great for some people, but like, I don't know. I like to wake up and just get my coffee and get to work. Like my biggest time to be able, and just because of my daily, like what happens with me on a day-to-day basis is I sit on a lot of meetings, I do a lot of interviews, I travel a lot. So I'm in like a lot of airports. And so I find that consistently I can get up early and have at least an hour of me time to focus on my goals, whether it's my business or my personal, whatever I want to concentrate on. And then I can get that out of the way and then I can continue on in the day. So that's what works for me. But other people might not be able to do that. Maybe they want to concentrate later at night, focus on their goals. Maybe they want to, do it in the middle of the day, like whatever it is, whatever works best for you and kind of the flow of your day is what you should concentrate on. And I like to keep it as simple as possible because we're all going to fall off the wagon if there are so many things that we're trying to accomplish in a day. And it's actually, to get off on a little bit of a tangent, it's why I really hate to-do lists because I feel like to-do lists like beat us up as human beings because we like put all these things on the to-do list, even if it's like our top 3 things that we want to get done in the day. And then we go out into the world and we're like, we're going to do it. And then the world happens and we don't do anything. And we come home and we're like, oh, I'm a failure. Like, I can't even do one thing on my to do list. And then you like add it to tomorrow's and you add a few more things. And then you go out into the world and you're like, okay, I'm going to do it. And then nothing happens or one thing happens. And then you come home and you're like, oh, I am a failure of a human being. So it's like, when we add too many things to our plate, we're never going to be a huge success. We're always looking at these people who are like already massive successes and they have the time, they have the opportunities, they have, the luxury of being able to fit all these things in the day and have like other people do the work for them while they're meditating and walking and reading and doing nothing and swimming and biking, like all of these things, right? So to kind of cut that all down to make a long story short, I would focus on one kind of thing in the morning that works well for you to start your day. So whether it is meditation or whether it is going for a walk and being outside or whether it is just simply getting up and getting to work and then concentrating on the rest of it later, whatever that is. And then once you have that solid and a habit where you do it when days get hard, when you don't feel like doing it, it's just automatic, then you can add something else to the routine. But it really needs to be that like thing that you do when you don't want to do it, when days are hard, when, life throws curveballs at you, but you're still doing that routine, then you know that it actually is a habit that you have formed and that is working well for you in your lifestyle.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of things that now I would like to unpack a little bit. I agree with most of what you're saying. Why I say most is because there is some gray area there, right? So completely agree with to-do lists. Completely agree with batting yourself or bashing yourself up because you're not following the routine. So my routine, I consistently did it for like 2 months, right? Every year, I think during summertime, I always consistently do it. During wintertime, I cannot do it because my house is not really well insulated. So in the winter time, getting up in the morning is so difficult because you're so cozy, everything is so comfortable. You're like, just 30 more minutes. My daughter is sleeping. She's sleeping till very thankfully 8 or 9 a.m. Right, so I can easily
Oh,
get up at 7 and easily do my thing before my daughter wakes up, and I still have time to myself. I can do that, but at 7:30 I wake up, my alarm goes off, and I do wake up. So that's my one thing that I do consistently, right? No matter
good.
how bad the day is, 7:30 my eyes open up. Now what I do after that differs day to day. Right? Most of the time I prefer to stay in. I'm like, you know what? It's so cozy. I'm going to stay in. So what I'm trying to say is that if you don't push yourself, if you don't
Yep.
force yourself to do a little bit, and sometimes that's why these hard stops or to-do lists, in my opinion, work a little bit, is because they hold you a little bit accountable. I completely agree with you, life happens. But tell me, Tara, if every day something is on the top of your list, that means this is something you really need to do. Your life, your business, your professional, everything, all of your aspects of your life are focusing on this one thing that you need to do today. And if you can't get that done because life happens again and again and again, then is that really in your control? Like, are you really in control of your life, or life is controlling you? So what do you think
No,
about that?
I'm a huge believer that you're in control of your life. So things happen, obviously, but it's how you react to them and how you take those and learn from those lessons, right? And it's truly achieving goals, achieving success, whatever it is the only people who can do it are the people who can push towards self-discipline. So the more self-disciplined you are, the more successful you're going to be. And it sometimes is controversial to say that, but I truly believe that like the harder you work towards your goal and towards pushing yourself to do those things that you don't want to do when life is hard, you're going to achieve your goals. It's as simple as that, right? Like we all know how to live a healthy lifestyle. It's not complicated. We all know how to eat healthy. We all know how much exercise we have to do a day. We all know how much water we have to drink. That's really it, right? Do we all do it consistently? Nope. I'm eating Christmas cookies right now a lot, right? So it's like, but it's just like, how self-disciplined are you? And how do you want, how important is that goal in like your overall life? Going back to the to-do list, so I don't like to-do lists. I will have a document. I like putting pen to paper because that's just how I think better and be more creative. um, so I like having like a book where I'll brain dump everything that's on my mind, everything I want to achieve at some point, little tasks, just like to get the clutter out of my head and down somewhere. But I live and breathe by my calendar. So instead of having a to-do list, I will put the tasks, because of course we have to do tasks to achieve our goals. I will put those on my calendar. And that way I can see exactly when I'm going to do the task. I can hold myself accountable. At 9 a.m., I am going to go for a walk. Great. If I don't do that, then I'm not holding myself accountable and I'm not creating self discipline. But I can actually see it like on the calendar at the time I'm supposed to do it rather than in this like to do list that's on an app or a Google Doc or a piece of paper somewhere that just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And I just don't know when I'm actually going to fit all of this in.
Yeah, I think I really like the idea. I hear from a lot of people that putting stuff in your calendar is better than making a to-do list. So block your calendar for like, okay, this 2 hours I'm going to do some creative thinking for this thing that I have my goal for, and I do really like it. But
Yeah, so it's hard though, right? Because it's hard to force yourself to be creative at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday.
exactly. And also on top of that, it's also hard to think about all the things that you need to do. Some are very rudimentary, right? Of course, some are important, and those are the ones that can go on the calendar, but some are very rudimentary. But for me, what works in a calendar are routine tasks. So, like my morning
Yep.
routine could be a thing I can put in. But if I have to put my daily agenda of as a data scientist, right, as a data consultant, I have to fix a lot of things. But I can't put that in my calendar. I'll just say focus work, and that's my 2 hours in which I'm going to do everything. Because I'll be like, okay, if I put every 15 minutes bug fix number one, 15 minutes bug fix number two, you can imagine your calendar becomes really crowded. But that could also mean for your personal life, right? If you want to
Yep.
cook food
I
every
like
day.
I like using on the Google Calendar, Google Tasks. So which will show like in my focus block at say 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. all the tasks that I want to try to complete in that time. So like fix number one bug. So I don't have to go into another program maybe to see the like read the bug fix. Like it's all just
In one
there.
place.
Of
Yeah. Yeah.
course, I have to open up the program to fix the bug or do whatever.
That's
But
fine.
it's all there and you're not kind of wasting time going, okay, now what am I doing next? Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's when you get sidetracked too, right? Because you'll
Yeah.
go, okay, on my phone, for instance, like, okay, what am I doing next? And you pick up your phone, and then all of a sudden, 3 hours later, you're like scrolled social media, you've watched a bunch of YouTube videos, right? Like, and you're like, oh, that was a waste. What was I doing again? Like, now I'm hungry. But
Yeah.
if you can get into that discipline of like, even when I'm on a meeting, for instance, and a task comes up that I'm supposed to be doing, I'll throw that task into my Google Calendar as a task, even at the end of like today, just so it's there. And then when I go back in, when I have a moment, I'll be like, okay, when am I actually going to be able to get this task done? It's due today, so I have to fit it in. Like, what do I have to move around? So it's not necessarily about like blocking those specific tasks like in your calendar. Sure, you can have big blocks of like focus time, creative time, but it's just really being able to think about like what you are doing in that time. And I love having moments, as you said, of doing nothing. I think a lot of people struggle with time blocking, especially people who struggle with like ADHD and other kind of like mental health, setbacks that help that kind of they always use as an excuse. But I've also seen a lot of people be able to like really successfully push past them. And it's because that they are blocking like every single minute of the day. And you look at that and you're like, oh my God, I'm so busy. How am I going to get this all done? Um, but even if it's like break, lunch, but it still looks like
Yeah.
you have to do stuff. So make sure to leave like white space in your calendar just for your own mental health as well. And also that leaves like flexibility to be able to move like tasks around, blocks around. If you're not feeling creative at 10 a.m., move something into that spot. And then, when you get a moment of creativity, then like, kind of run with it.
Yeah, I really like what you said right now because that's exactly what the other time management guys I mentioned was here also said. My question was, and this was going to be my question to you as well, but you already answered it. Like, okay, if you block everything or if you plan out everything, where is the spontaneity in life, right?
Yeah,
Like, what
none.
what about the moment? So he also says that all of your important tasks in a day should at least have 1 hour, 1 hour and a half between them, just so you have spontaneity in your life. Okay, what if you want to go out for a bagel? So you get done, you go out for a bagel. What if you wanna like go visit your family for a second? You're like, okay, not 30 minutes, I'm gonna go visit them, have a coffee, and then come back and then do my other task. So that really,
Yeah.
really helps, that level of flexibility. I do like it, to be honest. Not a big calendar guy myself yet. I like to do's, but I like to do's in the sense that what is my story for the day? And that's
Yep.
the only thing
I
that
love that.
matters. Yeah. What is my story for the day? If my story for the day is get the car fixed, that's it. The rest is all pluses if it happens. But the
Yeah.
story of the day is get the car fixed. That is the only thing I need to do. Life can happen as much as needs to happen, but I have from 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. to get the car fixed. So I should be able to do that. So that's basically what works for me. I also am a really like a pen and paper kind of guy, but I am a digital paper kind of guy. There's this e-ink tablet that I have, and it,
Yeah.
it really helps me keep my track. I don't know why, but for some reason, writing stuff down
Yeah.
really releases you. I really liked what you said that you dump your thoughts on paper. That's something I struggle to do, but I can talk my thoughts out for hours. So, so yeah,
Oh, you should record it then. You
yes,
should
and that's
totally. Do you?
yeah, 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 I do, and it really helps me. But then, yeah,
Yeah.
then you have to go through it and then find it and then like clean it up. That's where AI is really helping me out these days because now you
Yes.
don't need to do it yourself. That's very nice. But on this
I
topic
love
of,
it when
think-
people, sorry to interrupt. I
no, of
love it
course,
when people feel, it's a good tip when people feel, like they have so many things to do. I feel so overwhelmed. If you just take all the things that are in your brain and put it down on paper, you're like, oh, it's actually, most of the time, you're like, oh, it's actually not that bad.
Yeah.
Because then you can actually start figuring out, okay, I have to do this today. Where am I going to do this? Okay, that can wait till the weekend or next week or whatever it is. And then, and you can start kind of looking, whereas when it's in your brain, it just feels like it's so much. Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
all over the place.
It's all indeed. I really like that advice. You really you don't even know what the effort is because it's just so worried about it. And what I really like to tell people when they don't want to write stuff down and keep everything in their head is like your head also has finite amount of space. If it's filled with these random thoughts all the time, you won't have creativity, space for creativity left. So when you dump that out, now your brain is free. Now it can think new thoughts, it can get shit done because all of that stuff is now on paper. You're not going to lose it, so you don't need to remember it. So I really, really like doing that. It's a bit of a struggle myself, to be honest, but hey, it's a working thing. But you are on the right track because that's exactly what I wanted to ask about. I was like, we are trading advices and trading thoughts. So, what would be your best top three? I would say five, but I think you already gave a few here and there. But top three time management techniques that you think would benefit anyone who's listening.
Yeah, so number one would definitely be creating, and we kind of talked about this a little bit, creating habits that are good habits towards your goals. So a lot of us think, again, that we need to create these habits because other people are creating them, but maybe they have absolutely nothing to do with our goals. So, making sure that your habits on that you are creating on a day-to-day basis is pushing you towards your goals is going to be able to help you better manage your time throughout the day because you'll understand what your biggest priorities are, and what you have to achieve in the day. Going back a little bit, we were talking about, leaving space for life to happen. And my definition of time management is actually being able to fill your days with meaningful moments so that you can create the life that you want to live. So you as your own human. A lot of people say that time management is about, shaving some extra time off of your morning commute if you go into the office, or getting 6 tasks done instead of 3 in the day, or whatever. And when I was working with celebrities and like had this life of living out on the road and taking private jets and going to these like parties that no one would ever get invited to, I never actually took a moment to be like, oh my God, this is really cool. Like, I'm in this, I'm in the Playboy Mansion. I'm backstage at this, like, at the Oscars, like, all of these moments. I never actually took the time to actually be like, this is cool, because I was always thinking of the next thing that I had to do. I was and again, I was in that life where I had to support the celebrities, so I was always making sure that their like car was ready or their plane was ready or whatever. But it's something that I actually regret, and why I'm so passionate today about living every day to the fullest. So, a lot of us will talk about these like, be really rigid with your calendar and make sure your tasks are on your calendar and all of that. And again, that can feel like, and make sure you build like good habits, and that can feel really overwhelming. And as you were saying, like, where is the time for spontaneity? Um, but anyone's kind of perfect day can be different. You can have a bad day but still have a perfect day. And what that means is did you do everything that you could during the day to make you feel like, okay, that was a good day? Like, sure, shit will happen. It will be a bad day. I get it. You can have bad days, bad weeks, bad years. Fully understand. I have been through it. I totally get it. But have you done everything in your day to make it an okay day for you personally? And that's what I try to hold as like the biggest standard for time management. So what habits am I building to make sure that today is a great day for me personally? So that is like my biggest and most passionate, I guess, time management tip, because of me not taking the time to just take a moment and be like, oh, this is cool type thing. And it was back in the day before like cell phones. So, or like cell phones weren't really as popular. So like there was no selfies happening. So people like share pictures and I'm like, ooh, I don't have a lot of pictures. So there was no posting on social media, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be my biggest tip for sure, is being able to create the habits so you can actually have a good day. And the habits, again, I sound like a broken record, don't have to be everyone else's habits. There don't have to be thousands of habits that you form. It can literally be one, whatever it is that can help you towards your big goal in life, basically, and what you want to accomplish that year. And it will really help you too if you can achieve the one habit. It will really help you with that self-discipline, because you'll know and you'll understand and you'll learn like, okay, how did I actually achieve this habit? And this is the habit that I'm going to continue to achieve, or now I'm going to take these lessons so I can achieve another habit type thing. And I think a lot of us don't have a lot of patience with our habits that we're forming as well. So, we wouldn't expect to go to the gym and run on a treadmill for an hour and lose 20 pounds. Like that would be nice, but it doesn't
But
happen.
why
So
not, Tara? Why not? That is my question. Why not?
I know, right? AI needs to help us.
There needs to be a way for me to fix this because discipline and consistency, patience, these three are my biggest weaknesses. I have everything planned out, jotted to the minute. I am a person who works with these things as well, that I am performance coaching and performance activities and working agile. I love all of this stuff. I breathe all of this stuff, but I still cannot get it to do it myself because it becomes so overwhelming day in and day out. You are, okay, I have to save money for retirement. All I need to do is just this process every month, spend less than what you make. Life is fine. Eat less than you burn, then you're fine. Everything is just simple. It's just the act of balance. But it's
Simple.
so difficult. It's so difficult. What are you doing then, Mike? It feels like you're in a machine.
It's because you're trying to do too much at once. So like you're like, okay, I have all these, like I have to, as you were saying about your morning routine, I have to do this and this and this, right? So and it's still like, sure, we have to save for retirement. Like if you listen to the financial experts out there, they'll tell you, and you have like credit card debt, school debt, maybe, car debt, like you have all this debt and you have to save for your emergency fund and you have to save for retirement. What do they all tell you have to do? One thing at a time.
First
So what
debt.
is
Yeah.
it? You pay off your biggest debt first, then you start paying yourself a little bit. And once you have the emergency fund, then you can continue to
To
pay off
investment.
something else,
Yeah.
right? So it's like one little thing
Stuff.
at a time. And I think that's why people get like either annoyed with people like us who are like productivity gurus who are telling them you have to do this and you have to listen to my theme and all of this. It's like, no, like one thing at a time, listen to yourself.
Yeah.
And once you build that like one habit, you can continue to build like another habit that works really well. I have a little story. So when
Yeah.
I was to move into kind of my second one, when I was really little, I had a shirt that said, "Remember me, I'm going to be a star." And I wore that shirt everywhere to the point where it disintegrated. I wish I still had it today. And the problem was though, is in my very young child brain, I always thought that being a star was being a rock star.
Yeah.
So singing, dancing, playing a
Famous.
musical instrument, that's what I thought famous was, right?
Yeah.
Like being up on the stage. And I have like zero musical talent. I can play one song on this guitar behind me. I can't sing. I can't dance. Like there was no way I was becoming a rock star. Maybe, I guess, if I practiced and, did all those things, maybe. But I thought to myself, well, I'm going to be a failure in life. Like, I can't be a rock star. I'm going to just throw out that dream and I guess go do something else, right? So, but for some reason, I didn't throw out the entire dream. I held on to a little percentage of it, and I always walked around with it. I sometimes would forget about my dream, for days, years, until those like pivotal moments in life would come up. And I would always think, when you're trying to make those decisions, and I was always think, oh yeah, I wanted to be a rock star. Okay, maybe I should maybe make this, like, I'm still not going to be a rock star, but like maybe this path will help me somehow. And that's how I fell into working behind the scenes, with celebrities as their personal assistant, because I would take those paths in life, and I never forgot about my dream. I never forgot about my goal. So I think, another real big kind of tip for being productive throughout the day is really understanding what your goal is and never ever forgetting it. In all my travels, in all my uprooting from Canada into the US and back into Canada, I always know what my goal is. And that's why it's really easy for me to wake up at 4:30 a.m. and get to work, because I'm excited about my goal. I'm excited about what I'm doing throughout the day. Sure, like the tasks may be real crappy. Like, who wants to do taxes? Who wants to do accounting? Like, all those, for me, what you do, data entry, or not entry, but like analysis, like that is beyond me. And if you told me that I had to do it to achieve my goal, I would be like, oh my God, I don't want to do this at all. But if I could see my goal and I knew exactly that doing these 5 hours of accounting, data entry, whatever it is, then I'm going to actually be one step towards my goal. Like, I'm going to do it. And that, again, just comes from self-discipline, and it's a habit that you have to form, and it's something that's not going to form overnight. And we are all going to fall off the wagon for 1 or 2 days, but it's making sure that you don't beat yourself up about it and can just, keep
Get back
going
in.
and keep
Yeah.
getting at it. Yeah, of course. We're humans. We're not perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, being able to like have that goal, even if you forget about it a little bit, but when times get rough, when you kind of need to pull it up again, making sure that you like have it and can see it if you're a visual person, or hear it, or just think about it, whatever it is, whatever works for you. Really being able to, again, hold that so you can always come back to it and be like, oh yeah, this is why I'm getting up at 4 a.m. or doing whatever it is.
Do you play games? Or did you ever play
I
games?
love games.
Yeah, video games or board games?
Both. I'm not really into the video world, right? Game world right now. So if you say anything before like, Nintendo Mario Kart
Ah, that's also
1984,
fine. That's fine. So you've played Mario, right? You've played Mario, right?
of course,
Yeah. So
yes.
even that is a good example. You know why? Because as I said, my whole life working with data, what I've realized is you always have to work with uncertainty. And
Hmm.
that's why from data moving to this agile coaching thing that I started, this whole project that I'm doing, which we're doing together, was so easy for me because what we're doing there for the businesses is the same thing you're trying to do here in life. It's about making decisions under uncertainty, and the data that you can get is only helps you in making that guess a little bit better, but you will never have perfect information. Now, what I really like about your second tip is that North Star, that goal, really helps you remember, okay, what task am I doing? Does it have value or not? Because in a game, it's so easy, right? You go to this task, it tells you you're gonna get a level up, you're gonna get some bonuses, you're gonna get something that's gonna go to your end goal. But in life, you don't know. You wake up at 4 a.m., you're doing your taxes, you like, why am I doing this? But you're like, maybe this is in the right direction. So that reminding yourself is a very good advice. Albeit sometimes it gets difficult when you're in the grind of life and you're just going through the circle again and again. After having a child, Tara, really, I am I'm genuinely having an existential crisis that how time is so slow. I'm like, now this is my life
Days are
cleaning
slow.
diapers.
Days are slow, but I bet the years will be really
But
fast. You're
that's
gonna
that's
wake up and your child's gonna be 10 years old.
but that's what I mean. That's what the existential crisis is for me. That I'm gonna be doing this. We plan to have more kids. So I'm like, I was changing a diaper once and it just hit me out of nowhere. And I was like, okay, I'm doing this at least for the next 5 years or 6 years because then there's going to be another one. And then a few years later, then another one. And maybe if we're very, very lucky, maybe a fourth one. And if we are sane enough by then. So for the 5 to 7 years, I'm doing this. What I was standing there with my first one, which should be the most exciting thing ever, I was thinking about this and I was like, my God, time. So this just hit me out of nowhere that your systems that you're building are so micro that you're only looking at a daily level that you don't realize that the compounding is so profound that it goes into years and as you said, you barely won't even notice. He's going to be going off to high school and I'll be like, shit, what happened? And at that time I'm
Yeah.
still going to be complaining about the fact that it's cold, it's 7 in the morning, I can't get up, so I'm just going to stay in bed. So really your routine and your habits really need to make like they need to be such a ingrained part of you that it really helps you go into it. So with that, final tip, Tara,
Hey, I'm
for
going to
from
talk
you.
about multitasking because I know you hinted about it, and it is one of my tips that multitasking is actually not a thing. So, I also want to just take 1 second and go back. It's okay to have days where we're not productive, where we stay in bed longer. Like, we're not robots, we're
Yeah,
humans. We have to have those moments and those days, and like, don't beat yourself up about it. It's fine. It's your body and your mind telling you that you have to rest, so rest. So you can, be better the next day type thing. So but yes, multitasking doesn't exist. I know you said you are a master of multitasking, but scientific proof is that the brain cannot think about more than one thing at a
at a
time.
time.
So when you're multitasking, when you think you're multitasking, you're actually just context switching
Yeah,
really quickly, or the more tired you get, really, or burnt out, the more slowly you are context switching. And it's taking you actually longer to complete your tasks, your goals, get into your routines and habits when you're trying to do all these things at once. So that's
yeah.
why I go back to one habit forming at a time. One, yes, sure, we all want to be like, have a retirement fund, be healthy, have a successful business, and we can all do that. But let's do it one at a time because we're not going to be successful if we try to do it all at once. And a lot of times we see the people doing it all at once, but that's because they build the habits
Sys-
slowly and they
yeah,
can get into it
yeah.
and systematically.
Systematically.
So, yeah, you can actually waste time trying to multitask. So, because sometimes it can take the human brain up to 3 seconds to go, back into the previous thought. And I know we've all done it. Like, we've, opened up an email, we're about to send, like, or answer the email, and then, I don't know, a Slack notification or something comes up, and then we answer that, and then we're like, wait, what was I doing again? And then you go back to the email and you have to read it again. And it's like, no, one thing at a time. Which still people fight me on this and they say, like, what happens if like emergencies come up, or someone like my boss wants me, or a client wants me, or whatever. Sure, you can answer them. I know most of us are not saving lives here, so it's not, end of the
Urgent,
world.
urgent.
If we take, half a moment to finish our thought, finish our email, finish whatever we're doing, and then take a breath and then go off to answer, the next question, the boss, whatever. I work with celebrities. I get crazy requests, immediate requests all the time. When we're sitting here on our conversation today, I can see out of the corner of my eye messages from some of them probably wanting something pretty important. but I'm not going to answer it. I'm not going to stop it because I'm in the moment. I'm enjoying our conversation. I'm living my life to the fullest. They can wait. And I've trained them that they can wait as well. They know that I'm not going to answer them that second. So that's another thing, is making sure that you train the people around you that, like, no, this is what I have to do. This is my time, and I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to come and help you. Same with kids, same with animals, same with, like, this is my time. I'm going to do this for a minute, and then we're going to move on to
Then we
this.
can move
So
on to next. I really like it. Two, I would like to say musings or comments on what you were saying. I really, really enjoyed this last tip. I agree with you. The annoying part that I have in my life is I know everything there is to know about these things like multitasking or building routines, and yet not being able to do is more annoying, right? So when you don't know anything, you're ignorant, then you're safe. But if you know, I know multitasking doesn't work. I know it takes an average brain. You said 3 seconds. I've heard research that it takes 15 minutes to go back into the flow state again, right? So if you're in
yeah,
one
into the
flow,
flow. Yep.
yeah. So if you're in flow and that flow breaks, then you try to do that flow again, it takes you 15 minutes. That's a lot of time you're wasting. But for some reason, it still works for me. So, so that's because I've never seen my true potential. And this brings me back to the other thing that, Tara, you say that, okay, don't beat yourself up. But I've seen my life when I had the perfect routine, right? The morning, the evening. I actually break it down into 4 days so you don't beat yourself up. You're like, okay, morning, afternoon, evening, and night. All of these four quadrants get one thing done that you really need to do, right? So
Yep.
if you get all one things done in all of these four quadrants, your day is a success. Barring your,
Yep.
of course, 9 to 5, because that you, if you're doing a 9 to 5, that basically bringing money in, that's important. That's life. You can't do without it. But besides that, so when there were a phase in my life that all of this was working out, and I was the happiest I was the fittest I was, and I was like, okay, this is really nice mentally, physically, but to sustain it, my God, it's an effort, and that brings me to the other comment from what you said. Rich people or successful people that you look at them and you see they get everything done, while you compare this to getting out of debt, for example. If you hear the stories of people getting out of debt and becoming financially free, they're not really living the best life. They're living the best life financially. And that to me has been an eye opener, because if you look at the most successful people who are winning at life from every aspect, they have people doing their stuff for them. they have they have
Yep.
wealth managers making the money for them. They have physical therapists and gym and trainers who are keeping them healthy, nutritionists who are keeping them healthy, mental therapists who are keeping them fresh. So they have people, and that is why they have so much time to dedicate to these things, because they have people who can delegate. But most of us are not going to be that, and that
Nope.
bothers
You
me
can
a lot.
build up to it though.
Yeah,
Anybody
yeah.
can build that, and that's my biggest takeaway, is that anybody can be that person. It takes self-discipline. So what I like to say is that, okay, the productivity industry to date is right now worth about $8.5 billion. So that's a lot of people out there telling us what to do, how to do it, building apps to help us form habits, be productive. But there's no app or AI yet out there that will build the habit and actually do it for
For
us.
you.
That's us. That is so one of my biggest habits, which I set for myself on a yearly basis and fail because it's never as exciting and big as some of the other goals that I want to achieve, like business goals and personal goals, is I want to drink more water. Great. There is 1,000 apps out there where I can track the water, where my phone will go off and remind me of my water, but nothing yet is like coming to me. Maybe there's a robot out there coming to me, taking the water and pouring it down my throat. Nothing, right? So it really comes down to, and I like to say this, you just have to do the thing. There's no hack, there's no trick, there's no getting away from it. We all know what we have to do. You just have to do
Do
it.
the thing. I think that's
That's
a
it.
wonderful, yeah, it's a wonderful place to end it, but I would like to end it with some advice, because I drink a lot of water. So maybe there's something
Okay.
I can help you out with, because you are reminding of my wife who has the same problem. She will clean the house spotless, but forget to drink water. And then she goes like, "Oh, I forget." I'm like, "You didn't forget. It's just not important to you, right?
Yeah.
It's not important
Yep.
to you, because if you could not forget, you didn't forget eating, so you can't forget drinking.
Yeah.
And for you as well, you do not forget having your morning coffee, right?
No, and that's my problem. I will reach for coffee so many more times than I
Then
reach for
for water,
water. I'm like, ooh,
yes,
I want to go have coffee. I will go have coffee.
yeah.
I'm never like, ooh, I want to go have a drink of water.
Yeah, that's the thing. And so my only tip that works for me, of course, I don't drink coffee, tea, or anything. So that makes life much easier, because I only have one choice. I don't drink fizzy drinks and everything either. So that way I only resort to water. So then you start actually tasting and really enjoying water, because you don't get any of these artificial tastes from anywhere else. So you really feel like, okay, this is the only thing you can drink. But my advice to you would be that if you have a work desk, you do travel a lot, but if you have a work desk, the best thing to do is in the night, fill the water bottle and have the big one, so you don't have to get up to refill it. The biggest one you can get, that's like 3 liters. Yes.
And
Yeah.
it even has times on it. And look at me. This was starting at 8 a.m. and I've only drank to 9 a.m. and it's already 11 a.m. where I am.
Exactly like this. You have to put it in the night next to you, and then the morning you just reach for it whenever you can. As you said, that's the easiest you can make it for yourself. So I do believe apps and AI and systems are automation
Yeah.
helps you reach the goal, but it will never let you do the goal. So this works for me always. Fill it in the night before. Don't fill it in the morning, because you're going to forget it. Fill it in the night before. Keep it on your desk, or keep it next to you on the night desk. The moment you wake up in the morning, don't go for coffee, because
Just
coffee is a
drink it
bit far
all.
away. Not drink it all,
Exactly.
drink some. At least you get through the day.
Yes.
All
I know.
right.
I have all the tips, but I still don't do it, right?
Same.
And I'm not beating myself up about it because I'm still living the days that I want to live and I'm still reaching most of the goals that I want to reach, right? And that really is all what life is about.
I think so. I think same as with me, multitasking, right? You know everything that you're doing wrong till an extent, but you still don't want to live. And at the end of the day, it's like, as you said, you are a chariot racing across the Colosseum. You will get off track. The real
Yeah.
question is, how early do you get back on track? That's it.
Yeah. And what's important to you, right? Like life is way too short and we never know what our last day is going to be. So we can be creating all these goals for the future, but like maybe we won't have a future. So like let's make sure that we really create and like live these our lives to the fullest, and have these great days.
Yes, I think that's partly morbid, but partly very nice
I know.
to
I
hear
know.
you
We'll
ending on
end
this.
with we'll end more with just do the thing. That's all you
Just
have
do
to
the thing.
do.
Eat the frog.
Success, yes, success equals just do
Do
the
the
thing.
thing. Nike
That's it.
always had it right. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Tara.
that's why I don't say just do it because I don't want to get in trouble. So just do the thing.
Thank you so much, Tara. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had fun. This was a wonderful conversation with me. Tara, you're a natural. It was a lot of fun to talk to you. I hope you had fun. I had a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to hearing what everyone thought about this. And of course, I'm looking forward to hearing from you, Tara, how you thought about this.
I love it. Thanks so much for having me. I had so much fun too.
Take care. Bye bye. And for everyone else, hope you had fun. Talk to you next time. If you haven't already, do check out the roundtable. We are live with our first session already, and we are looking for the upcoming quarter participants. So if you think you want an accountability group where you come in and get shit done, roundtable is the place to be. So sign up using the link below, and I'll see you there. Thank you so much.